We are now live. Would you mind pasting the link in? I'm gonna put it up on the screen this computer. It's that one there. You can see. I'll get my laptop.
Top one.
Yeah, that's the YouTube link. So just paste it into the chat and I'll be right back. Then we shall talk WordPress. Sorry for the delay.
That works. Oh, yeah, it's us. So did you try logging into the wiki?
No.
Greetings,
What?
Topangans.
Indieweb.org.
So there's just a login.
Is anybody joining us from the great beyond? That's interesting.
That sounds fun.
You're playing a movie?
Where is the login on indieweb.org?
Upper right hand corner. Okay, so I'm appointing you my co-involvee, since I know you're interested in the topic.
Okay.
Congratulations on your promotion.
Okay, retry.
That doesn't work.
No, co-involvee.
No, I meant this. There must be a bar to keep the chair from leaning back like that. Oh, here we are.
More bar stuff.
So we're here to talk about WordPress. I'll do this the old-fashioned way. That's W-O-P-R. Remember, the P is capitalized, as is the W.
Yes, that's very important.
Now, some people in the community have decided that in order to indicate that this is the indie webified version of WordPress, Indie WebPress.
Do we have an Etherpad that you set up?
I assume it would be etherpad.indieweb.org/indiewebpress if there isn't one already. There might be one from a previous session. So, how do we start? How many of you have a WordPress site that you have attempted to indie webify? Raise your hand.
First, on to one little step.
So it is not as easy as everybody would like it to be. So most people start out with the Indieweb plugin. Now, until recently, the Indieweb plugin didn't actually do anything. It only allowed you to install other plugins that actually did things. So that has recently been upgraded. The Indieweb plugin now, in addition to installing other plugins that you might find interesting, also allows you to set up, remember those realm links that we were talking about earlier? It actually allows you to do that. Then please excuse my handwriting, my students do. Although this is an improvement over my usual classes. Now we have two. And most of these can be installed from the Indieweb plugin. We have the Web Mention plugin and its companion, the Semantic Linkbacks plugin. I don't like the name, but it's what we have. So those of you who enjoyed the ability to comment on other people's sites and pull back comments from other sites, these are the tools that actually allow you to do that. So basically, if you post something on your site and somebody comments on it, this can generate a nice, pretty link as a comment. And you saw some of that out there in several of the demos that people had. You have any you'd like to add?
Oh, thanks.
So far, so
Of
good?
course, yeah.
Okay. So then we get to this. Posse. Anybody remember that term from outside?
Mhm.
What does it mean?
Post
Post
on
on-
your
Oh,
own site, syndicate elsewhere,
elsewhere.
Or everywhere, depending
or everywhere, yeah.
depending on your perspective.
Depending on whether you're me or not.
You're everywhere.
I over posse.
Yes. That's like oversharing.
Yeah.
So basically, WordPress is very stable in its collection of plugins that will allow you to send your content anywhere. So there are some very popular ones. There's of course Snap. None of these are specifically IndieWeb, but if you're wanting to do this, there are plugins that will syndicate to Medium, which I know people seem to like a lot. Twitter, Facebook, what have you. Not the Google Plus, but that's Google Plus's fault, not anybody else's. Not that I'm sure anybody is still hanging around with it. So you combine,
Snap will go to Google Plus.
yeah, if you pay the money
Yeah,
and
if you pay.
install a custom script that may or may not work in the future.
Yeah,
So sort of iffy.
but it'll work.
So you can actually use some of these plugins, including Snap, to pull back comments, which is what we call backfeed, from all of these sites. But you can also do that through a third-party service called Bridgie. That's brid.g. So Bridgie basically takes the communications from any site it supports, converts them into web mentions so your site can receive them without any special additions.
Does that make sense? Do you need a diagram?
Mhm.
The diagram, yeah.
Okay,
Diagram it, yeah. I'm a visual person.
me.
Mhm.
Whoever me is in this context.
Rachel.
Your website.
Well, me will be the website in this case. I'm saying in this context,
Yes.
whoever you have it. You basically install a plugin on your site that supports web mentions. You then connect to Bridgie. Bridgie goes out and connects to, let's say, Twitter. And when Twitter gets a reply to you, Bridgie takes that reply, converts it back to your site so that you can understand it without you actually having to talk to Twitter. So it is basically a translation service between a protocol you understand, in this case web mention, and whatever other protocols that these sites may understand. So you don't have to make your site support all these things, you just have to make your site support that. And you can do that with one simple plugin, two simple plugins. Any questions? Because otherwise it's your turn. I'm sharing.
Yeah.
My roommate asked me this morning how secure this is to
Well,
be pulling stuff in. Is it vulnerable?
Well, first of all, anything that's on Twitter should be sanitized. I'm not going to say that Twitter is perfect. They've had corruption issues where people have put in links that are malicious, but they've been working on that. So it's at least secure as anything else. Now, at this level, Bridgie does also sanitize. And then when it gets to you, you can display it any way you want, so you can sanitize. So these plugins also will try to sanitize it again. Does that mean that it will work 100%? Possibly not. But it wouldn't necessarily be able to corrupt your site. It might be able to end up with a link that somebody could follow through to somewhere else. But that's what to some degree moderation is for. So if you don't like it, you just delete it. So hopefully you're not actually accepting any spam links to your site. Because you could get Twitter spam coming back through this hole.
Mhm.
But then you just, like any comment, you get rid of it.
You're not opening up any back doors.
It should.
Should.
Well, the protocol itself that it's using at this level is web mention. Web mention is actually just a post to your site that has two parameters, source and target. So it's basically where on your site it was linked to and what linked to it. So in the case of Bridgie, what Bridgie does is it creates a page on Bridgie that gives you all the information from Twitter in a format that you can read. So at no point are you accepting data sent into your site, you're reading it yourself. Just in a place where you can read it without having to worry about a Twitter API. But would you be able to pull up a native Bridgie webpage?
Yeah,
You got
I
one?
was looking to see if.
Yeah, there's a cord right there for an HDMI.
Where?
Right here. I assume that's the one for, that, I think you just succeeded in unplugging their speakerphone.
Yeah. Well, it looked like it was. Oh, I see too.
So if you all turn in this direction, I assume there was a remote here somewhere, like this remote here, that looks vaguely remote-like.
It's a Samsung.
Yes. So here's the remote.
There we go. So what am I pulling up?
Can you pull up a direct Bridgie link? Not the one,
Oh, yeah,
basically
yeah.
bridgie.appspot.com or whatever,
Yeah.
where it shows you what the page that. Yeah, that's the direct Facebook link. Hit edit.
It's gonna be when you get into the bottom.
No, hit edit. It'll come up.
I clicked the right one. There we go.
I'm sorry.
Shame on them that it didn't open up a new page on the. So this is what the page on Bridgie is. It gives you the date and time that it posted, the name of the person with a hot link or a URL link to that person's Facebook page, their photo of what they look like, and then an actual URL link to the comment ID. And then below that, there's the actual comment that they wrote.
So basically, it took the Facebook version of it and simplified it down to this easily understood version. So you're not touching Facebook and you're not, technically you're trusting Bridgie, but remember all the data you're getting here, you're parsing it from this format and hopefully checking it on the way in. The web mention plugin does do standard WordPress checks for that sort of thing.
And then this is a version of what Bridgie looks like on the back end. So you log in and authenticate it for each service. In this case, I've got at the very top up here, I've got Flickr, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus all working. So all those services are sending their likes and comments back to me. So when I publish something and anybody comments on those sites, all that commentary, the hearts, the emojis, occasionally,
All the love.
all the love. And
In
sometimes,
whatever form.
and sometimes all the hate comes back, but I can force it to pull my site and crawl my site by clicking the top button.
The poll and the crawl
The poll now will pull Instagram as the service to see what's new on Instagram, and then I can force it to crawl my website to see what's new content on my website. It does it automatically on an algorithm based on how often you post. So if you post twice a day, it learns, hey, check 3 or 4 times a day to see when the new post came.
It doesn't overwork itself if it's not.
And then it'll
These
show
sites have limits about how many times you can pull them, so it's trying to avoid API limitations.
Yeah, Facebook says, oh, you can only use that API a couple times a day, but in general, it will find everything, and usually within a reasonable time frame too. So it's not real time, but it's very near real time. But it'll show you the icon of the person, and she comments. It's on Instagram. She commented with emoji, and then this is the original post I made and a link to it. This is when I pulled and found it. And then over here it says the web mentions that were sent. And in this case, I actually have 2 websites that it's feeding to. So I posted this Instagram photo on my main site, and then I have a secondary social stream site. And this found links for both of those, so it sends the comments to both of those two separate sites. And I think 2 is the maximum.
And can you show the page where it goes? So we see all the links were sent. Could you show one of those pages? Let's
So
say,
here, we'll click on this and it'll take us to,
Why do you have the secondary stream site?
partially for fun and because I do some hacking and coding on that other site. But my secondary, eventually I'll merge the two and just have it all on WordPress. But I tend to have the longer form, richer content stuff on WordPress and some of the smaller knucklehead, like I'm eating a banana sandwich and here's a picture of my big toe, goes to the social stream that
I'm not going to question that statement.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't actually do that, but it's the smaller short hit content.
There's a reason it came up out of your subconscious.
But could you scroll down to the bottom
So if I scroll down to the bottom,
just to show what it looks like? Yeah, right there, just to show what those actual responses look like.
Mhm.
So this is there's more than one way to display it, but this is based on the standard WordPress display. So you get a line that says that JD Connor liked this photo.
So if
on
you
Twitter.
click on the hyperlink of that,
so
it
if I
takes you to
click on
his
JD, it should
Facebook
take me to his Facebook
or
page.
whatever he
Or
tweets.
Twitter's Twitter
Yeah, okay.
So it'll take a second to resolve, but there's his.
So you could be more or less intrusive. Can you pull up Ryan Barrett's site? He has a completely different design, I think. So he also runs WordPress. So this is a completely different design, but if you could pull up one of his,
Let's go back 2 days.
It's like Michael. Thoughts on parenting.
so you see his is
Mhm.
a little different.
He's got the same issue I have.
I think it might be me.
But this pops up.
Anytime something breaks, I assume that I did.
This thing, actually, I have a feeling I've been watching lately, and I think it's typically, it happens more often from Instagram, and I have a feeling it's when emoji are being sent and some issue with how emoji are being done as,
Well, emoji aren't officially recognized by the plugins in question because at the time, they weren't being sent as much. WordPress recognizes it.
but most of these are favorited like this. There's a few native, like, looks good. And it tells you where those things came from. So let's say on,
And you could because this is all stored, you could basically display it whatever way you want.
so on typically on my site, somebody says congratulations or makes a longer comment, I can click this Facebook link and it'll go to Facebook where that thing happened.
So then you can just reply right into that message.
And
instead
you
of-
saw it highlighted her thing real
Mhm.
quickly and it gives me a reply. So I can write a reply here and Facebook will take care of the notification to tell her I replied to her thing. But then Bridgie will scrape this page again in a few minutes and it'll say, oh, somebody replied. It'll take this reply, put it back.
So
on
even
the
though it's
website.
you can pull back your reply to yourself.
Mhm.
So I'll have the whole comment stream from everywhere on the web, regardless of whether.
It's just,
So you may choose to consume my content from Facebook, and I send it there to make doing it easier for you because you were
yeah.
my mom only is on Facebook, so she would never see anything otherwise.
Well, I came up with the other solution to solve that for my mother, who was coincidentally on Facebook.
Yeah.
I set up the email newsletter for her.
There you go.
That's a different session.
Yeah, but I set it up using WordPress tools.
Okay.
We'll let you keep your story as part of the official record.
Yeah, moms.
So do all of these pulled comments get indexed in Google?
Actually, interestingly, on some of my web pages, I have friends who will comment on my website. And my SEO is so good that if you, let's say you made a comment on Facebook and it went to my website, the SEO and the setup and the code for my site is so much cleaner than most others that if I Google your name, the chances are much more likely that something on my site is going to hit higher for you, even though you have your own presence on Twitter and Facebook and other things, and even more so for images. So I think if I
mean, that's happened to me where I've commented on really popular pages and the page still shows up like 5 years later.
let's try it, because I know Jocelyn's commented at least somewhere on one of my sites. So now let's go down and
It's like you and Angelina.
I don't know who this crazy like lion-faced woman is. She's always very entertaining. I see her
There's
pop
me at
up.
your wedding.
So let's see.
Me where you
Before
were
we get
at your
into-
wedding? Is that on here?
No, I just have done a generic Google search for her name.
Yeah.
It's
See
taking
what
the page a
else.
second to load. But I almost guarantee within 2 pages of scrolling, we'll find 5 other photos from my website
Mhm.
that now rank higher for her name than even her own personal images, which is weird. Except,
Does that work for me?
Google.
Nobody knows me.
Probably.
There's a possibility somebody knows you, right? So
Hmm.
I'm not well known, I admit it. So I'm wondering, have I gotten the Chris Aldrich juice?
Wait, is it that
For
picture
some
of the red bathing
reason.
suit?
Yeah, that's it. From Greece. Yeah, that's it. You're
Grease the musical, Grease the country.
Grease the country.
She's married to
I did
a-
not get married in Grease the musical.
Okay, so you go
That
down
would've been
halfway down
interesting, though,
halfway
wouldn't it?
down the page on
Yeah.
a search for Jocelyn's images is
Oh.
a picture of me pops up.
Okay, that answers my question.
And if I open the page that this picture is on, I guarantee it's a page she's commented on or said something about. I recognize this is
Oh, and there's your American
this is
Crazy I
a-
saw from your.
this is another friend
Yeah.
of mine. This is another friend who I'm sure has commented on that same page. This is my mom. This is an author I represent.
You're skewing the internet.
So
Yes.
I'm so heavily skewing the internet that more of my friends show up solely because she commented on a page at which I wrote something.
You have to tell the rest of the gang about this one.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't
What
think
is your
they've heard this.
SEO?
Yeah.
And it's not anything great or crazy. It's
Wait,
just
Can we
simple,
add another?
it's just
section
simple,
just about your SEO
and it's not even like crazy SEO. It's just like simple, straight code, but it's the markup that IndieWeb adds to your page.
So this is another
Makes it
added
that-
level of
makes it that
value
much
if
easier.
you need attention on the internet.
It doesn't always work.
But
I'm still.
But
I
the
still
fact
wanna
that a
know,
picture of
actually.
my mom shows up in the Google
You
search
want
for
to
her-
use-
Yeah, but I'm just tempted to look. Does a picture of you show up when I search for me? Let's see.
You don't comment often on my posts, so that's probably not.
I'm just still curious.
Here's this dealing with China. This is a book I'm reading right now.
You're
So,
almost
like-
done. You're almost
Like
done.
how insane is that you search for her name, and because I have these micro formats on my page, that makes it that much easier for Google to crawl my material.
Yeah,
Like-
that's what I was thinking. It's
So
laid out so.
So I think
cleanly.
it's hilarious. You search for her, but mostly you're finding stuff for me.
There's still.
But I'm getting the same phenomenon.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Gina, and
Yeah. But I'm saying, I'm getting.
This will
you
change
people.
over time. as the
ultimately,
algorithms
it will the sea change will balance. Or as Jocelyn starts posting more about herself.
Oh, no, I
and
do
what
have
she's
one for you.
doing.
Like,
Lessons
we'll be
learned from
overpower
Indiewebcamp,
Chris.
a picture. I don't know what that's a picture of, but I do have one that comes from your side.
I love Boy Meets World. Probably liked it.
That one's fun.
Oh, that
So
was
we
Steve
should-
Isabel. That's Zach Morris climbing through a window.
Here's another friend of mine from South Florida, who was one of my teachers in high school. This is another book I'm reading right now. This is another website post I've got.
There's Buffalo.
Here's an icon that actually says Bafo Sacco when you look for her name. Here's, this is a picture of my desk at home.
So, no, it's just interesting.
The rabbit.
So, and this is a picture that's on my website on another page.
But I have exactly the same thing. which I-
Here's another book I'm reading right now. Here's a picture of my little free library. So your identity
Where'd
on
the
the
elephant
web
come
is
from?
so skewed off to one side that searching for your name, you find more material from my website only because you commented on a couple of pages at some point or another. But slowly, as you begin to use your own indie web identity, these things will be pushed further down, and you'll take over more. Now,
So should we warn people to come to our websites about
Oh,
commenting?
you want that power.
See the kid in the pink and the flower skirt. He was playing Lisa Turtle. I do like size 14.
my problem though on the SEO front is there's somebody much more famous apparently in the last 2 years with my name.
You have to work on
So these are the images that come
Chris
up when you search for
Aldridge
me.
from like what, naked dating?
It looks like-
Dating
Oh my
naked
God.
on VH1.
Oh my God.
You have to move yourself up.
That's great.
You have to get
Of
above.
all the people you could be
Oh.
sending.
The problem is he's got like massive websites for like VH1 and MTV, like pointing at stuff he's done.
You just have to be on Dating Naked too.
And my favorite thing is like you search for me, the first thing you see is bare buttocks, and I'm like, yeah, we gotta. I think the first photo that's actually me is halfway down the page.
In
You
between
need some
some
more
Like
hair.
20 pictures, like after 10 blurred out pictures, then you finally see me.
Or you just have to track this guy down and ask him to take down all his pictures.
The problem,
Just ask-
most of the
just ask
problem is,
Google, dude.
most of the problem is there are so many sites and fan sites that followed him and liked him that it's all those fan sites that posted these photos, not him. None of these actually
So
appear on
many
his own
fan
website.
sites.
He just has a big fan following.
So I have to ask you guys, after all this, do you actually want to do any of these things? Or have we scared you away with the fact that somehow you would get linked to half naked
Full
celebrities?
disclosure. This is
Yeah.
good.
No, WordPress actually makes it pretty easy to install and follow through and accomplish these things in little chunks.
The markup part is probably the hardest only because that's theming. In WordPress, you have dozens of themes and most of them are not marked up properly.
But yours is.
Yeah.
Yours is
You had a tutor?
incredibly well marked up. I mean, there's still stuff that can be fixed and tweaked and made better, but you got a good start.
Just do like in a custom code window for the header then. Just
But if you look there, if you do add the IndieWeb plugin, you get a nice little top level menu thing that says IndieWeb. And then under that, there's a little summary of what you might actually do. Some options, some other things you can install. And I can't speak for anybody else's plugin, but any plugin that I wrote will automatically put all of its menu items under that IndieWeb thing if it's installed.
Oh, this is kind of odd. It says install Indieweb plugins. When you click all, it should show all 10 or 15 or whatever.
No, it should only show the ones
Ones
that
that are.
are either not installed or not activated.
Well, this one says to install and to activate.
Yeah, you didn't install Hum,
Yeah.
and you did, but the others are installed and activated, so it won't show up on the list.
But it would be interesting to have the all show all of them.
I think it's a setting in the plugin installer. Because I tweaked the settings after Dan Gilmore and Kevin
Yeah.
Mars were having trouble. So it no longer says micropub, it says publish to your site using micropub.
Yeah.
So basically, I tried to make it a little more descriptive.
I have 7 showing under extensions.
Yeah. So if you install and activate them, they don't show up on the,
Oh, when they activate.
they don't show up on that menu. That menu is for things you either haven't installed or haven't activated. Now, not all of them are for everybody.
That takes time to figure out.
So you have wishes?
I may have maybe 1 or 2. I probably have a few just to have tried them out to see what they look like, how they post and display.
I wrote wishes and I've never actually wished for anything.
Um,
No, somebody asked me to put in the feature. It didn't take that long, so I did it.
Oh, it.
but here's this.
I know you had some design problems with that.
Well, I'm slowly fixing. Actually, something broke and it should be even better because there should be a carriage return and slightly bigger. But this shows you where I've syndicated all of the posts. So here's the original where it lives on my site, and then these will link out to the versions of, this same piece of content where it lives on Facebook. But what happens too is that auto links, if I look at this particular element, the plugin takes care of a lot of the micro format stuff.
It says use syndication, not rel. It's supposed to.
So it uses the micro format of use syndication to say, I've syndicated this piece of content to another place, and here's where it lives. So that use syndication is linked to this Facebook permalink of where this content lives on Facebook. And Bridgie uses those two things to say, particularly in Instagram's case, Bridgie looks at Instagram and it looks at, because Instagram doesn't do rel me.
I don't use Instagram.
I don't think they don't.
Somebody has
So you
to talk
can't
to
make
Bridgie.
the two sites point at each other and say, hey, we're the same.
So Bridgie is kind of the,
But by having
That's
use
The
syndication,
bridge.
that's where the name
but
comes from.
by having use syndication on here, it becomes a signal to Bridgie that, yes, I'm me here and I'm me on Instagram, and this post points at this other post here, and the two posts are linked. So all the comments that happen on Instagram here, port them over and put them on the original post.
And if you think that the term posse is amusing, you also have posse post discovery.
Post on site, syndicate everywhere, post discovery.
Well, the idea is that you look at your posse post, so the syndicated copy on Facebook, and you use that to discover the original post on your site. So that would be posse
Yeah, like a
post
link
discovery.
back kind of.
Yes.
Thanks, Gregor.
There are other ways to do it. You could look in one direction, you could look in the other direction.
Pretty cool. There's no way to transport your likes from one site to another to make yourself more popular, is there?
No. Well, the problem is, one, in order to do that, you'd have to be able to figure out the relationship between, let's say, a Facebook and a Twitter account, and find the same person on each service. And then you would have to impersonate them in order to post it. So on a technical,
Get into
Yeah.
some.
on a technical level, you can. But on your own site, you can represent that person.
So that's kind of like Chris's master list of popularity, all pulled together.
Crazy.
And there are other crazy
Well,
things that might come up
Here's
later.
an example of this author whose book I published a year ago. He had no internet presence whatsoever.
2014.
And he, so we
Dark
created
analyst.
we created a website for him that's Indiewebcamp. The only thing he had on the internet was a Gmail account with about 500 friends and family's emails. So I took those and created Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. I dumped his email address book in and followed everybody he knew, and then they started following him back. But then he didn't use any of those services for any reason whatsoever. He posts everything to his own website, and it syndicates out for him automatically. Guy's 70 years old. Little change. And all the commentary from these other sites comes back to him, and he sees it. So the only thing he has to know and learn is his own website, and he can communicate back and forth with all of these people. But when you go look at his website, it looks like he's been blogging for a decade, because he's got all these comments and likes and like people following
He has a real
him.
presence.
I mean, it's not like you go to a website and it's a bunch of tumbleweeds blowing along, and this is a 70-year-old guy who's had a website for a year, and that's, to me, it's almost silly. Like, the 70-year-old can do it, surely.
But he had you.
Well, I helped set it up, but once it's set up and running, he's been able to kind of easily use it, which I think is
So this website is meant for a computer or a non-mobile device, correct? Or it,
Now, you can look at these websites on mobile.
it just,
you can.
Well, a good website will work on both.
yeah.
Now, as far as your website, I assume, is responsive.
Yeah, this is.
So if you looked at that on a mobile screen, you can pull out your phone.
Yeah.
It should be readable. Now, is it optimized to the best of your ability? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it used to be you'd have a mobile site and you'd have a regular site. Now it's all done with responsive design, so
Yeah.
everything just resizes itself.
But this was that huge list I was talking about, all the services that I've signed up to over the years. Kind of categorized broadly.
Oh my gosh. So did you have to add all of those manually?
Oh, yeah,
Or were you able to pull?
I cut and pasted some stuff and then tweaked it a little bit. And then
All the
a lot of
line-
these are the dead sites that no longer exist.
Yeah.
And there's lines through them when
Yeah.
the URLs don't resolve to anywhere anymore, so there's not even a redirect. Whereas some sites like Buzz, if you go to that for Google redirects it to some generic page. But most of them not only
It's
don't
like a
exist anymore.
postmortem of
Yeah.
death.
Well, there's actually a wiki page on the Indieweb wiki called Site Deaths, which records a list of all the sites that people in the community have cared about that are now defunct. So, let's see, what do we have here?
There are a lot of sites on there, right?
Well, that have been reported, if somebody in the community cared enough to document.
What else can I share here?
Here we are, Site Deaths. Coming up, Our Incredible Journey, anything acquired by Yahoo. Going in order, Panoramio closed
what?
yesterday.
Panoramio?
Panoramia.
Oh,
Panoramia.
it's like-
It's sketched panorama.
As of
Yeah.
November 30th, the Persona login service will shut down. The Tiddly space service is scheduled to close December 15th
Or earlier.
or earlier. Let's see, Vine scheduled to discontinue
Yeah.
sometime soon. Parse shutting down on January 20th, 2017. State shutting down, but no actual date for that. Let's see. Loom could shut down any day. TwitPic scheduled, shut down in 2014, but there's no news about what might or might not happen with it. Yahoo Directory, Video Central, let's see. Moving down to the actual ones, okay. Orkut Export shut down in September. Orkut shut down also in September. Readability, gone. Semantic Personal Identity Port, gone. Heiko, Google Drive Hosting, Tigethera,
So a
Read Lists,
a
ThinkUp,
week ago, I saw
Facebook Paper.
TwitPic was in trouble. And I was like, I had a bunch of photos I liked, so I went to TwitPic and downloaded, and I put up a post of, so these were all the photos that I had
You had on TwitPic.
on TwitPic at some
Specifically.
point or another. So, I bought a house, and this was probably the week I bought it, I took that photo. A friend of mine, the day he got married.
Well, it's
This
nice, you
was,
didn't lose all these
I had
photos.
I had a really messy, onion and mustard bagel breakfast with John Aston. I don't think he could see the mustard on his mustache. This is a friend of mine who died a few years, and that's, I think these two are the only photos I had of him. And, this is 2009, this is when mobile phones had really crappy, that was a good
That was
photo.
good enough, I'm gonna share it
That
on
was a
the
good photo
internet.
back in the day.
But the whole point of all of this is, no matter what happens, he has it.
Yeah,
Is there a place where like all the Indieweb plugins are like listed, or do you just?
Yeah, in the Indieweb plugin.
In the Indieweb plugin?
The Indieweb plugin, all the Indieweb plugins.
Where do you
are
find
listed.
the Indieweb plugin?
If you go to any WordPress installation, hit Add Plugin
Yeah,
and ask for Indieweb, it'll come up. So the idea is it sort of simultaneously has functionality. It allows you to do Realme, which is the relationship between you and other sites.
Mhm.
But it also has basically a plugin installer that will install other plugins. So the list of plugins that are recommended there have been stable for a while. If a new one came out, then it would be added in.
Okay.
It's not every single possible one, it's
And then-
basically the stable ones.
Yeah, there's a handful of experimental ones and things that may make new things or break new things.
Or have been abandoned, but you've installed them anyway.
And then it's reasonably well documented. There's a WordPress page on the indieweb.org website.
Who did that menu? I haven't noticed that before. The topics, plugins, assistance thing.
I want to say Gregor Love did it.
Well, he's been watching. If he did do
A month or
it,
two ago, he could tell us.
Yeah.
Yes or no, unless he's following.
it's session switch time, so we're supposed to be moving into the indie email thing, but nobody's shown up for it, so we can just keep talking until they show up.
They must be doing something really interesting.
That is possible.
Be a good camp organizer.
Did the change to the WordPress page on the wiki's layout?
He did.
So he said did what?
The
I know, that's why I just said that. You'll hear it in about 10 seconds.
But a lot of the stuff's documented, so there are other plugins that exist that are out there you can go and get down. But the
And also,
the other thing we can do too.
I think he'll help you if
Since you guys live in LA, every couple of weeks we do, or a couple times a month, we try and do a local homebrew website club meetup, and we'll sit and hack on things.
Mhm.
So if you want to play around, and we can
and while I'm not
play
in Los
around
Angeles, you
and
can
walk
always
you
email
through
me. I'll help
installing
out.
things and tweaking to the next.
David, what do you teach?
At the moment,
Or in general?
in general, well, at the moment, I teach employees of my company to do their jobs.
Oh, I
So I
thought
do
you said
corporate.
you were a teacher.
I have a teaching license. I'm just not currently teaching students. I'm teaching adults who aren't interested, despite the fact they're getting paid to learn from me.
What is your company?
I'll show you my ID. Oh, that's my phone.
I guess I could Google you, but since we're in real life.
That's my ID. Not my current job, but
Oh.
that ID is good till 2025. I get a lot of jokes about my employer. Yeah. Well, they now serve Los Angeles again,
Oh.
as of May, after a 6-year gap.
Is that who you flew here?
Not unless I wanted to change planes in Europe. My boss suggested it though. He wanted me to make a brief stop at the home office on my way here.
A 2-week layover.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
They're 24 hours. Anyway, he changed his mind.
You don't want me to work.
Well, no, I have to be back at 9 a.m. Monday morning for another class. So.
Are you taking a red eye or?
Yeah, so flight arrives at 5. I have to be at my desk at 9. So didn't show up at 9:30. Should be fun. Are they coming?
Yeah, they're in there. We're just wrapping up.
So any questions about the wonder of using WordPress to indie webify your life?
No, I'm sold.
Have you ever installed WordPress?
No, my finger is on the button. I realized I had a WordPress.com website.
Well, you can start out there.
No, I don't
And-
like it. I think this is cool.
Well, you get a lot more control if you have your own domain than if you have somebody else's, blank.whatever.com.
Yeah, I just have to figure out how to go through Google Wallet to get access to my
Just-
domain.
You won't care. Don't close that.
Yeah.
Because it's still recording to the people at home, however many there are.
And sometimes I'm on the deck. So we just need to make more space for these 4 or 5 folks.
Well, to those of you who have joined us, welcome to the Topanga room. Remember the Topanga room is streamed live. As exciting as that is. We are joined by at least one person.
2.
Two. No, I mean, we're joined by.
Oh, okay.
But we're
The
really
people on the
excited
stream
to
are
have
welcome to
Jeremy.
wave also. No, we got a woo. Yes, if you're watching the stream and in the chat room, give a woo. In the chat room. Wes, we just had a wave to the indie email session. Bear in mind, there's a
Grab one of
camera down
those.
there. So any of you who don't want to be recorded, please stay out of the range of the camera in the event that you have a federal indictment, or be careful with the cabling. Other than that, it's fine. Nobody here is under federal indictment. Not doing that.
We're only when come knocking down the door.
Oh, we've got a refusal to woo.
Which is the same thing as a woo.
There's the webcamp in Berlin at the same time, right?
Well, not exactly the same time because of
Oh,
the
right.
time difference, but same day. So as we were coming on, they were starting to wrap up for the day. So the hashtag for this particular room is indie email. Remember, that's two E's right next to each other.
Oh, yes.
Feel free to join.
So this is the IRC chat I've got up, and our friend Gregor Love is attending remotely and updating things on the wiki in the background. So I wrote his name and added a ++, which gives him some karma within the chat room for doing something good on behalf of the community.
Good job.
You might want to put that chair somewhere else, only because the camera is right there. I put it over the cabling. So since there were actually two people who put down Post-its for this event, so the question is, who is going to facilitate?
The bigger question is,
Jeremy.
what's the hashtag?
The hashtag is indie email. All one word.
Posted notes.
Hashtag.
Is that with 2 E's?
That is 2 E's.
Email.
And it's already being updated.
So, to restate the scenario, we've got websites, we publish our websites. How do people keep track of what we're publishing, for example, by email?
Feel free to use the whiteboard behind you.
Well, I've got an idea.
You're gonna raise that.
Okay, so
I think the accent is that
this tickles something in the back of my mind. I remember on my band's website, we've actually got to subscribe by email for updates, very verification updates. So I was just looking to see how did I do that? I don't even remember what I was using. And it turned out it's FeedBurner.
What?
That
Yeah.
still exists?
It still exists. I just logged into FeedBurner. So FeedBurner was a service that was bought by Google and sort of abandoned by Google, where it would host RSS for you. What was the point of FeedBurner?
Cache it, basically.
Cache your RSS. Okay.
So you wouldn't have to get as many polls to your site, basically do a cache for.
Okay.
So
So
also do stats or something.
so you've got your
Yeah,
website.
the-
You got your website, and so let's say you do have an RSS feed for your website. Like so, you got your post, and you got this RSS file. But we'll get to if you don't have that, that's okay. We'll get to that. And then the idea is you got the service FeedBurner, and you kind of claim your stuff. Say that's mine over there. And one of the things that FeedBurner knows to do is allow people to subscribe. So it sends to email. What's a good symbol for email? Envelope, there we go.
Or a box with a V. Yeah, there you go.
So this does work, I can verify from my band's updates. It's really like a day or two later, the people who subscribe to get the emails.
What does email have to do with Twitter?
Anyway, stop trying to derail this.
What's Twitter?
But if you don't
That's not-
currently have an RSS feed, that's okay. Because when we were talking about the building blocks earlier, one of the things we mentioned was using H-entry. And all the vocabulary of H-entry maps to the vocabulary of RSS feed. So effectively, you can generate an RSS feed from your H-entry using some intermediate service. Now, I'm sure there's some out there. Time take off the top of your head, an H feed to RSS converter.
Tim and Mark have something?
I
Or
thought
did you go the other way around?
Granary did that.
Sure, they're out there, right? Anyway, this is only if you don't already have an RSS feed.
By the way, if you run WordPress, you have an RSS feed.
You've already,
Save
so,
those
okay.
guys from asking.
So serious question. Don't want to be dependent on feed burners. It's owned by Google, so it could disappear any day. I'm surprised it's still around. But if there's another third party like this, I think.
There are, but I only know the free one.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head the name?
There's another one like feed something, but it's also, there's a paid one. One second, I'll find it.
So this is one option.
Feed Flare, maybe?
Does the caching and.
It looks like it provides analytics also at FeedBurner.
Right, that's what it is, yeah, if you care about that stuff. So, that's an option. Like I say, I don't think it's very good because it seems awfully laggy. Like I'm signed up to get updates from my band's website and post an update a day or two later. It's not ideal, but it exists. It definitely wouldn't be fit for purpose if you're posting, like,
Feed Blitz, Feed Cat, Rapid Feeds, Feedity.
feed.
Blitz is the one I was thinking.
Aaron mentions MailChimp, but I don't know if they do RSS.
MailChimp does RSS to newsletter.
To newsletter.
It does, okay, so
And they have a free tier. I assume no one here plans on having more than 10,000 subscribers to their personal.
I don't know.
We're,
Not at the
ask
moment.
Chris, we don't know.
How many people subscribe to their newsletter?
No, their paid thing kicks in much lower than that, doesn't it?
I think it's 1,000 for the,
Yeah, okay.
but after that it goes up, I think it's like $5 per 1,000.
Yeah.
It's not horrendous. Usually if you're using them, you are running some kind of business
Yeah.
for it.
But if you aren't, again, do you have 1,000 people who are interested enough in you to subscribe? After which point you have to give them $5.
There's a thing in social psychology called the Dunbar number, and it's the number of people you can reasonably interact with and know almost everything about in terms of daily
I
interaction.
thought it was 500.
Who are they? What are they? What do they do? And it's 150 is roughly about what you can keep track of. So
I can't even keep track of the number of
So I did not know that MailChimp did RSS to email. That's interesting.
If you put in the feed, it'll generate a newsletter.
Oh, okay. So it's not automated? It's not like keep an eye on this?
No, you give it the feed and it pulls it periodically.
Oh, okay, good.
So you can
Okay.
tell it the frequency that you want it pulled.
Oh, cool. That's really good. This is something
Because I use that for
quite
websites.
useful. Maybe MailChimp's all we need.
they're not too bad.
And they have dolls.
Dolls of monkeys.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, all of this is just me thinking about RSS to email, but maybe there's another way to approach this. I don't know. But any other,
So I did a similar thing at work. So we use IPython notebooks a lot for kind of ad hoc queries of whatever. And pretty much always, if you make a good one, they want to turn it into like an automatic report kind of thing. So I wrote an IPython notebook plugin that would just take the JSON that it generated and stuff it into a MIME email, like getting all the images working and that kind of stuff, and then send it.
that's sending to one person or? could it
No, it does. You can do a full mail merge on it.
Okay.
Aweber is another competitor with MailChimp. I think they don't do that stuff.
Aweber?
AWEBER.
And ConvertKit too.
Or Constant Contact, I think, is another one of them. Like,
But it's more
Do
commercial.
they all do,
MailChimp at least
do
has
they all
that
do
personal
RSS
free.
email?
Yeah.
These ConvertKit and Constant.
I think they all do.
yeah, I think they do.
Was the other one
Constant
Constant
Contact.
contact.
You might actually see TV commercials for that, or
Yeah.
within the States.
Yes, I used to be unknown, and then I paid for this site to set up a newsletter for me.
So it sounds
Now I
like
get a lot of business.
And then there's another smaller one that's been in use that's almost used to write your own newsletter on their site called Tiny Reader.
I'm using 10 letter.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I think it'll do
Does it have
kind
a
of the same
plugin?
type of functionality.
I don't think it does that does.
Yeah, I don't know if it may do RSS.
No,
You have to like take it and post it to their
Yeah,
service.
that would be a manual thing. All right. So it sounds like this could work. So the trick is to have an RSS feed, and if you go on WordPress, you get it for free. If you're not, but you're able to edit your HTML, you can make sure you're writing using the H feed, and then there's converters out there. I'm sure we'll find on the wiki.
Well, I'm looking for a service that will accept my H entry directly.
Yeah.
Is there one?
Oh, one of these that will do it directly?
Or that has an API that I can create a converter for.
That we can do.
What was the one you were using, David?
Well, Postmatic was a WordPress specific one.
Okay.
I think this would work very well for blog posts in the sense that they tend to be occasional, but you wouldn't be spamming your friends. Okay, what about this situation? It's something much more high frequency. Links, let's say I post 5 or 6 links a day, or notes, right, updates. You don't want the end user to be getting 1 email per update, right?
Ideally, yeah, no.
So this is a separate
I'm still
digest.
laughing at his,
What?
he's laughing at your at sign.
It's like 1 email per tweet.
That's what he's saying.
Jeez, it was email before it was Twitter, right? What's his name?
Well, I can't use that symbol of my place of business.
Is there a way where
There.
you're supposed to reply?
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Well,
like an at reply?
okay, so there's
Yeah, you gotta close the loop.
Yeah,
It could be a
that's-
favor and
that's-
slap
okay.
him.
So all of this that's outlined here is one-to-one email. That seems to be a solved problem using any one of these services. The one I'm interested in is a digest, which would be many-to-one, right? So this would be blog, notes, or links, or whatever, right? Where it's gonna generate on a time, like a daily email or a weekly email or something, you know what I mean? And you could still be looking at the RSS feed to get.
Yeah, basically, the digest is the term.
Digest, yeah. Digest, and then the other situation we want to solve is replies, which is something going from email back to the site. So these are all going in that direction, right? They're all going that way. So somebody
The
gets
side.
site. Somebody get T.
So I figured I'd have to take the attention off the feedback lane.
So certainly in this situation, you receive an email with a blog post, it moves you to tears, and so you must reply. And you hit reply because that's how you would reply to an email. But do any of these services accommodate that?
Right, so those are MTAs, or the mail sending services. Typically the other thing like mail.yourname.com or whatever, that'd be a different thing that you're running.
Okay. So is this about setting a reply to field that you have control over?
Mm-hmm.
And if that reply to field can convert email to web mention, does that exist? Somebody doing email?
That would be a service somebody would have to
Yeah.
put through.
Does it exist yet?
No, you want to write it?
So here's a hack idea for somebody either physically here or on the.
Oh, I thought you were volunteering.
I do not know anything about email.
I've
I
learned.
barely know anything about web mention.
I have learned enough about email servers to know I don't want to maintain one.
Yeah.
The spam fighting alone is a tremendous pain.
Well, I know WordPress has a built-in setup that they'll give you a hashed email